Hey, welcome to the Power Entrepreneurs Podcast. I'm Jake Rosenberg, and I'm here with my co-host Jacob Busani, and this is the show for entrepreneurs and business owners to get a behind-the-scenes look at how the uber successful around us think and operate. He's a 4 times best-selling author, CEO of Hardcore Closer, founder of Break Free Academy, and the leader of modern marketplace sales training. From selling cars at age 13 to selling mortgages, then marketing services, he soon realized his sales skills could be taught to others. Today, Ryan Stewman is well known for his sales training, also contributing to Forbes, Entrepreneur Magazine, Addicted to Success, Good Men Project, Lighter Side of Real Estate, Huffington Post, and of course, his Hardcore Closer. Coming to you from the great state of Texas, we're excited to sit down today with Ryan Stewman, the Hardcore Closer, on the Power Entrepreneurs Podcast.
Thank you, Ryan, for joining us today on the Power Entrepreneurs Podcast. How are you today?
I'm awesome. We're going to have a good time today.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So why don't you tell us how you grew up and really what got you into the business world?
Well, I think most people, like they have to go through a path. I grew up, I didn't have like a silver spoon in my mouth or anything like that. But I also knew that I wanted money. I saw people on TV with money. I heard people on the radio with money, whether it's talk shows or artists or something like that. So, I knew that I wanted to have money and I wanted to have a better life. And I wanted to be able to drive the Hot Wheel cars that I played with as a kid and to be able to sit in the cars that I put posters on my wall and stuff like that. And my first venture into the business world was working in sales. I think there's really 4 levels that people get to operate through in life. Some people start as an employee or some people start as a salesperson. They're both employees, but if you're chasing unlimited money or whatever you want to call it, there's the salesperson. Then level 2 is being self-employed. Level 3 is being the CEO. And level 4 is hiring CEOs to work for you and being an investor, right? There's no retirement or whatever. So I got started on level 1. I think if you skip level 1, then you're really not very good at level 2 or level 3. A lot of people, they try to skip level 1. A lot of people look at sales, they look down on it. They say, oh, well, I'm not a salesman, or I'm not going to sell cars, or blah, blah, blah. Man, I made more money selling cars than 90% of motherfucking doctors that got a degree. You know what I mean? So people, and I only sold cars for about 6 months, but I'm making $15,000, $20,000. There's lots of doctors that don't make that kind of money. The average doctor makes, $150,000 to $250,000 throughout the world. So and I didn't have $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 in medical debt or college debt. As well, And so there comes a point though, when you're a good salesperson that you max that effort out. The last job that I had, I was fired from that job. I've only been fired twice. I got fired from Sonic one time when I was a kid, because I was like 15 or 16. And I was working 2 jobs. So I worked a sales job during the day. And at nighttime, I worked at Sonic. I grew up poor. So if I needed shoes or clothes or shit, I had to go buy my own stuff. And one night I was taking out boxes, and we had a rush come in at Sonic, and the dude thought I was out back fucking off when really I was crushing boxes up. So I got fired for working too hard, basically. And that bastard called my mama and told her he fired me. Well, I didn't go home because I didn't want my mama to know I got fired. So I didn't go home. I went over to my friend's house, got me in all sorts of trouble. Anyway, then the last real job that I had, quote unquote real job, I worked in the mortgage business. I ended up making more money than the CEO. He got a little jealous and let me go, right? I don't think he could keep up with the pay plan that he structured for me, because I don't think he expected it to work that way. And so at that point, I knew 2 things, A, I still wanted money, and B, I wanted to be in a position where nobody could take it from me but me, And so I started my own business. My first business was back in 2005. But really, I was just self-employed, flipping houses on the side for my mortgage job, right? But I started a true going all the way in business in 2010, and it was managing people's social media, which is a normal thing now. But back in 2010, people still called Facebook and shit like that. They didn't know how it worked, and nobody really believed in it or whatever. And I built that business up within about 90 to 120 days of I had 73 clients. But the problem was I always been this lone ranger. So I never had a sales team underneath me. I'd never been in management or anything like that. So I went, made all these sales, and then I didn't have anybody do the work. So I had to do all this damn work too. And about a year into that, I was like, man, I ain't writing 73 posts times 5 a day for all these people. I just can't do this shit, man. My fingers hurt. I'm bleeding. I look like David Goggins after he won the 4,700 pull-up challenge. You know, I just can't do the shit, you know. And but because of that year, I learned a lot, how the algorithm worked, how people responded to DMs. I learned how to sell on Facebook. So I started teaching people how they can make money from Facebook. I had made accidental money from Facebook back in my mortgage days because I would always win like top producer award. And I would always post it on Facebook. It's like, once again, did 30 loans this month. And back then in 2008, 2009, people couldn't make money in mortgages. Like the media was doing the same shit they're doing with the coronavirus right now. It's the end of the world, you know, that kind of shit. And so, you know, I would post on Facebook and people would hit me up and say, man, you know, the news keeps saying that nobody can get mortgages done, but I see that you're doing a whole bunch of them. Do you think you could do mine? And I was getting quite a bit of business from Facebook. And so I realized, because of the experience I had writing posts and learning, plus the experience I had in the past, I started teaching loan officers, which is what I did, how to get money from, you know, making posts on Facebook and sliding in people's DMs and prospecting realtors and stuff like that. And that evolved from people asking me, you know, it went from just loan officers, because I only teach what I know, right? Like if I haven't done something, I'm not gonna talk about it. I'm not gonna teach it until I know for a fact, right? A lot of people ain't that way, but that's just how I am. And what happened was, other people started coming to me, like real estate agents, for example, would show up and say, hey, I know you're doing it for mortgage people. Can you do it for me? And I'm like, yeah, you know, I'll try, you know. And I ended up doing business with like Frederick Eklund and Josh Flagg for $1 Million Listing. You know, we did some stuff together and helped them grow their social media and did events with them and things like that. And this was like back before they were super popular like they are now. I like to think that I had a little hand in that. Maybe not, but maybe, you know what I'm saying? Depends on who you ask. If you ask me, I'm gonna say yes. If you ask them, who knows? They may not want to give me the credit, but then from there, like insurance agents would ask me, you know, hey, well, you did it for realtors and loan officers. You know, we insure properties. Can you help us get homeowners deals, right? And from there, it started into, you know, eventually morphed into business owners, because the business owners saw how I helped their sales team. And now we pretty much help everybody. Of course, it's been 10 years, but now we pretty much help everybody. And, you know, I got my hands in about 50 different businesses. You know, I own quite a lot of businesses. I don't work in all of them, but I'm trying to make the transition between the CEO and the investor level. So I got a lot of investments out there and stuff like that, which allows me to get firsthand experience on how a lot of businesses operate and things like that. So, you know, that's how I got into being a business owner. It was like every time that I would do the work from the previous level, I would just level up. Right now, in my main business in Break Free Academy, we have 12 employees and about, I don't know, another 4 or 5, maybe 5 contractors that work for us, like a designer or funnel maker or something like that. And we do, you know, we're pretty consistent. I don't really like talk money too much. We do a whole lot of money, you know what I'm saying? And work on really good margins, selling basically mentorship and passwords and logins. So that's like the short story quick, you know?
Yeah. So let's like kind of rewind. An interesting thing that you said is when you were getting started on social media, way before people even thought about using social media for business much, you were focused on making money off of social media, which is something I always tell people, you know, you're either using social media to make money or social media is using you to make money. So what was that like for you at that point, you know, being as there was no, you know, proper ad platform the way there is today, and there was no system to it. How did you go about figuring out, you know, what works best, and how did you go about, like you said, you know, messaging people was a big breadwinner for you. How did that work out for you?
Man, I just did it. You know, like I wasn't a computer person, but I've always been good at learning the technology I had to deal with. Like, for example, in sales, if you want to make big money in sales, you better be good at using a CRM. And so I understood that. And so in sales, I always got good at using whatever CRM we used at the time, right? And so, but the way that I got good at it wasn't from like reading a book or watching other people do it. I just went and did the work myself, right? Figured out. So the same thing happened when I got into managing other people's social media. I mean, my sales pitch was like, I don't know, the shit worked for me. Maybe it'll work for you, you know? And I didn't charge very much money. It was like $500 down and $100 a month for me to write 5 posts a day on your on your Facebook page, right? It was a fucking ridiculous offer. You know what I mean? Like I should have never been doing that shit in the first place, but nobody believed in it. So back then they're like, dude, $100 a month for Facebook? That's insane. Now people pay 10, 20, 30 grand a month for someone like me I don't do it anymore, but I know friends and clients of mine that manage people's social media that charge upwards of, 20, 30 grand a month to manage big corporations. I know Gary Vee, for example. I don't know Gary Vee, but I mean, I know Gary Vee charges like $100,000 to $250,000 a month, depending on what the company and stuff like that is. So people see the value in it. But for me, nobody really saw the value in it. So I thought, I know as a sales guy that when value exceeds price, right? Price $100, value, maybe you get a lead from it. If you're a real estate agent, that might be $10,000 or something like that. So I knew that I could just make this value exceeding offer. It's like $100. What do you got to lose? It's tax deductible. And because of that, I went to work, and some shit worked and some shit didn't. The shit that didn't work, I didn't do it again. The stuff that worked, I learned from it. And like I said, it took me about a year, but after that, I actually started teaching it, and by about that time, let's say at that time it's 2011, 2012, somewhere around then, it was starting to catch on. Facebook hit 1 billion users. And they started treating it not quite at that time, but a little bit more like media and less like just Facebook, and so, it just made my pitches a little bit easier and everything else. But man, I just learned it by doing stuff, and sometimes the shit I did worked, sometimes it didn't. And like I said, I learned from the stuff that did work and from the stuff that didn't work. And eventually, towards the end of my social media management career, I had like an Excel spreadsheet of shit that worked. So I could you would sign up with me and I could just copy and paste the stuff that worked for Jacob, into your stuff at different times so that both of y'all weren't posting the same thing, but like a week apart. And I had this rotation schedule and stuff like that. So, but it took a lot of convincing in the beginning because just nobody believed in it. Because prior to Facebook, there was MySpace. And you remember MySpace was MySpace was brutal, man. They made you pick who your friends were. You know what I mean? Like, these are my top 6 friends or whatever they were, right? And you would go and you had to keep up on MySpace because, if you showed up on your profile and Nickelback didn't play and your cursor didn't turn into a unicorn, you were in trouble. You know what I mean? You weren't cool anymore. It was always pushing you to do something else, whereas really people left for Facebook because it was really simple in the beginning. You write on people's wall and give them a sticker, if you remember. And then eventually they added DMs, and then eventually they added, comments and stuff like that. But it took a while, and they slowly brought it on everybody, which is why I think Facebook ended up being the biggest social media platform out there, because of the simplicity behind it.
So fast forward right now into in the sales, where have you seen the sales process transition from when you got into sales to where it is right now? Is it still the same selling? And also, just to bridge that question, is people using the phone, do you find it more effective, making the phone call, or doing a text or an email or different form of sales?
Well, so sales evolves, but here's one of my favorite sayings. I don't know, I didn't make it up, but I don't know who originally said it. But it's methods are many, principles are few. Methods may vary, but principles never do, right? And so the same sales principles apply. What I call it sales MMA. Back in the day, to be a sales guy, you had to be good on the phone. That was the key, right? Because that's the only way you could fucking sell. You had to be on the phone, right? And now you need to be good on the phone, good on video, good in the DM, good in the text message, good in the email, good face-to-face. You need to it's if you're just good on the phone, it's like you're a boxer, right? You can throw them hands and whoop somebody's ass, but if someone who knows Brazilian jiu-jitsu and boxing gets in the ring with you for a UFC fight, you ain't gonna last but a second if you don't know how to protect yourself, right? And so these days, the sales guy needs to be diverse in the things that they can do. So one of the sad facts about today is most people just don't talk on the phone. If you get on the phone with somebody, it might be a 30-minute phone call. If you send 2-3 texts back and forth, it can accomplish the same thing in maybe 10 minutes. So, text messaging hides emotion, email hides emotion, DMs hide emotion, and people can be blunt with you and people can be short to the point. So more people are doing that than getting on the phone these days. But I believe my number one thing about selling is sell to people where they're comfortable being sold. If someone asks to get on the phone with you, then get on the damn phone with them. If someone prefers to be email and texting or DMing you or whatever, then keep it there. I don't let somebody hit me up in the DM and go, hey, what's your phone number? Let me call you. I just respond to them in the DM and work it from there. Now, if they say, hey, can we hop on the phone? I might hop on the phone with them because that's their preferred method of communication. But I try to sell to people where they want to be sold to. But, that's the big evolution lately, is that we have sales videos, sales funnels, automated email sequences, automated slide dial, automated text sequence. So I think you should use it all. I think you should be trying to be great at all of it, because if you're just relying on one, like right now, if you're just relying on phone calls, like you're a cold caller, like I said, 90% of phone calls go unanswered. So like, what a colossal waste of time. You got a 10% success rate to even get somebody on the phone to tell you to fuck off. That's a terrible waste of time. Right? So you might as well start getting great at all those other things so that you can use whatever tool that you need that's in your tool belt. But a lot of people just got one tool in their tool belt. And if something breaks and they don't get to use that tool, it doesn't do them any good,
Right. So interesting, like last thing you just mentioned was the cold calling, and in a sense that is a waste of time, but it kind of, the idea of cold calling scares a lot of people, and the idea of it translates into any form of sales, really, whether you're messaging someone, sliding in their DMs or whatever it is, unless you've interacted with them or they know who you are, it's pretty much a cold sale from the get-go. What are some methods that you use to turn a cold lead into a warm lead before you even get started?
Well, man, I'm a little different, and I believe there's like two ways to sell. There's power or force. And a lot of people rely on force because they don't have the patience for power. Okay, so let me explain. So, force would be sliding into someone's DMs, spamming somebody on the email that didn't opt into a funnel, like maybe bought a list, cold calling people, door knocking people. You're forcing someone who may or may not have interest in you to have a conversation with you, right? You're forcing them to pay attention to you. Force is effective, right? There's cold calls still work, even though you got a 10% chance. Like, there's still people making money from it. I don't know a lot that are making big money from it, but they're still making money from it. Force moves are still effective. They're just not efficient. So I believe in power moves, but the thing with the power move is power takes a while to be created, right? A king doesn't just show up into power overnight. He was maybe born a prince and then became a warrior. And then, like, let's talk about like who's the next guy to be the king of England, right? Like Prince, William or whatever, right? Like, he's been groomed his entire life that when the queen dies, him to take over. You know what I mean? Like, he's literally been groomed for that power since the day he was born. He's the firstborn son. Probably the most powerful thing that I can think of in existence, besides probably God, is the sun. The sun took 6.3 billion years to create the power that it does. It fuels cars. It fuels our planet. It causes us to breathe, our plants to grow, all that stuff. With a power move, the way that I believe is I don't cold call anybody, like not since 2005. You have to show interest in me in order for me to have a conversation with you. For example, I didn't reach out to you guys to ask to be on this podcast. I never have reached out to anybody and said, put me on your podcast. I never reach out to anybody and say, put me on your stage. I never reach out to somebody and say, this like slides in I don't slide in like random strangers' DMs and be like, buy my shit. That's not how it works. So what I do is I've created this attraction marketing machine. I make posts on Facebook. I make sales funnels and run ads. I do the things that catch people's attention that attracts them to me. And here's the thing though, like, first of all, it takes a while to get good at building a funnel. And making a creative offer. It takes a while to get good at making videos and build a video that compels people to watch it and do the next step. It takes a while to get good at writing Facebook posts, to where you can get hundreds, if not thousands of likes like I do on mine. It takes a while to develop that skill, but once it's developed, it attracts people, because that's the thing about power. Power is attractive, right? Like Prince William, he ugly in a motherfucker, but there's like hot ass chicks throwing their ass at him all the time, right? Because he's powerful. You know what I'm saying? Like Bill Gates, he's ugly as hell too, man, but he got no shortage of women throwing themselves at him, even though he's married, because he's powerful, right? That's why men with money, no matter if they look good or not, they attract attractive women. So when you're making power moves, you attract people. And I don't mean like some law of attraction, like just put a picture on it and stare at it until it comes true. I don't mean that kind of stuff. I mean, take an action that would compel people to go, you know what, dude, I need to reach out to Stewman. This guy's got some shit figured out. And so it takes a while, because I know the people that maybe just today they learn about me for the first time ever, right? Like, let's see, there's people right now that are listening to your show, and it's the first time they ever heard of me. Hi, I'm Ryan. Nice to meet you. And what happens, though, is at first they may not like me. They might be like, dude, this guy talks fast, cusses a lot. It's totally not my style. But then they see an ad in their news feed, and they might be like, oh, it's that dude again. Then a month goes by and they continually see an ads because we retarget them, or we're targeting their audience, or maybe they just happen to go over to my Facebook profile or my Instagram profile and see somebody shared my stuff or something like that. And they start to see me throughout the course of, let's say, 6 months. Okay. So that's 6 months from today. Somebody brand new might be watching me that maybe even the first 90 days, they don't even like me. But after about 6 months, there's a switch that flips called familiarity. They're like, oh, I'm familiar with this dude. He was on podcasts. He was in my news feed. He was in the Instagram thing. And so they start to become familiar with me. And right, people got to know, like, and trust you before they buy from you, right? So first they get to know me through your podcast, and then they may not even like me, but it takes a while of me getting in front of them. They're like, you know what, man, he's not so bad after all. He's really consistent, if nothing else. And so then they start to develop a like for me. Then they see that I'm a person that operates with high integrity. Man, I have 18,000 clients. I don't have any one-star reviews. I'm not on the rip-off report. I don't fuck people over. Everybody who's ever met me that's done business or even just been a friend of mine, I feel like I left them in a better place than where they were before they found me. And that's just how I operate in life. And people start to get to peel back the layers of the Ryan Stewman onion. And then the next thing you know, they're in my DMs like, dude, I've been watching you forever, man. You know, what I got to do to get down with your mastermind and be a part of your thing, or buy your product or read your book, or whatever the case may be that they keep seeing. And to me, that's a power move, but it takes a while for that power to build up. Today, most people don't have the time to wait 6 months for a prospect to decide to do business with them. So they're on the phone trying to close somebody right now. You know, like I'm never a person that shows up. It's like, you got to buy right now. It's like, hey, you know what? If you're not ready to buy today, like we had a discussion beforehand. You said, all right, we'll talk about it in the future. I'm like, I let it go after that. I was like, cool, I'll just send you a link. You know what I mean? Like, and if you watch or you decide to do something in the future, cool. If not, cool too. But it's got to be initiated by the other person. And again, not everybody can operate that way, because it takes a while to be able to gain that power move and that power to actually attract people. But that's the powerful side of life. Once you get there, it really is. It's a whole hell of a lot better to talk to only people who want to talk to you than to try to talk strangers into want to talk to you, you know?
Absolutely. So talking about power moves, one of the things that you've gotten pretty good at doing, aside from the business, is aligning yourself with the right people. Because as we know, with the right people on your side, the right people on your team, you can do a lot more than when you're, going it on your own. How did you get yourself to a place where the right people wanted to spend the time with you and to, create these masterminds and do different projects together and all of that? Was it, based on the work that you'd done until some point when they reached out to you, or did you take specific strategic actions to get the right people to notice you?
Well, it's not something I really talk about on social media, but a lot of my friends are professional athletes and TV celebrities and I mean, people that you see every day on TV and whether they're playing sports or they're actors or an influencer or something like that. Man, I'm very fortunate. It didn't start out that way, but I got intentional, to the point where I said, okay, so if I'm going to attract high level people to reach out to me, who do I got to be in order for that to happen? Just a couple of weeks ago for the Conor McGregor fight, I had, a preacher of a mega church at my house, Mr. Olympia, a Dallas Cowboy player, a Dallas Mavericks player, a couple of like billion-dollar real estate producers, a guy that sold his company for 9 figures in the oil and gas industry. Like these, and I'm not a person that's like, hey, let's take a selfie and flex for the gram. Like, that's not my style, right? Because that runs those people off. Because then I'm like a fanboy and not a homeboy. I want to be a homeboy, not a fanboy. You know what I mean? And so, but I also know that just putting the content out there, that eventually it's going to get, like, if I just put enough content out there, if I just outwork everybody else and outwork and out quality everybody else, eventually they're going to show up. My wife and I talked at the end of 2018. We set our goals every December, which most people do. And I told her in 2018, I said, 2019 will be the year that the influencers start to come for us. And I don't mean like the Instagram thoughts showing their ass. I'm talking about like, real influencers, people of significance, people that carry weight, not just in the Instagram world, but in the business world, in the mindset world and stuff like that. And so we started thinking, okay, so what moves do we have to make to attract these people? We can't be, always talking shit and gossiping, because then they'll think we gossip about them. We can't be taking selfies with every, famous person that we run into, because then they'll think we'll always want to take selfies for them, and it'll be about just getting clout for Instagram or Facebook because of who they are. So what we started focusing on was like, let's create content that inspires people. Let's create content that makes people want to be better. Let's create content that attracts these kind of people on a high level, deeper thoughts, because one of my friends, Jay Kinder, he says one time we were drinking, and we do that a lot together. And when we don't do it a lot, but when we're together, we do it a lot. And so he says, I said something about, man, what a small world. You know that guy too? He goes, Stewman, it's not a small world. It's just a small group of us at the top of this motherfucker doing things. And I'm like, you know what? That's right. So I try to appeal to, first of all, I'm not a person that really has the patience to deal with rookies and new people and stuff like that. Now I got a ton of like blog posts and videos that rookies and new people that haven't made 6 figures yet or 7 figures a year, they can go read and they can go on the path to that. But that's not really who I'm looking for. I'm looking for people who are already successful. It's hard to take an average person and make them great. It's not impossible, but it's hard. It's easy to take a person that's great and make them greater, right? So I started focusing on creating an attraction marketing machine around that, right? And just like I told you guys in the beginning, I started working with the sales guys, and the sales guys led me to the business owner. Guess who opens their wallet faster than a sales guy? A dude that owns a business, or a woman that owns a business, right? Because they get it's tax deductible, it's a business expense, they have a whole different level of thinking, right? And so I joined a few, programs, not to learn from the people that ran the programs, but to be a part of the program and the people that were in it, right? And so I started investing, and I've always had mentors and shit like that, but I started investing in gatherings that were like ridiculous amounts of money that you had to have a ridiculous network to even be able to wire the money into, so that I could get around those people. And then I just started giving to them. So like my buddy Dan Fleischman, man, he's one of my close friends, great dude. He has this program. It's like $100,000 to be a part of, right? And in that program, everybody who can spend $100,000, they're obviously somebody. Ain't nobody dropping their last damn dollar to get in that program, right? And so I get to be a part of that, and I get to meet these people and have these experiences with them. And I go in, like I said, I give and I help, and I don't ask for shit. I don't show up and be like, okay, I spent $100,000 to be in this mastermind. Who's got my money? Who's going to give my money back? How am I going to do this? Right. I showed up and I was like, hey, how can I help you guys? Here's what's working for me, and just give to where these people that are in this program that have this money start sharing my stuff on Instagram and Facebook. They start sending me referrals. They start becoming clients themselves. And again, that's a power move. Instead of me showing up to the mastermind and being like, oh, dude, we definitely got to do a JV and we got to get you in here, this, that, and the other. I showed up and I was like, so what are you joining for? Well, I'm looking for this. Oh, here's what's worked for me in that area. And again, it's not something that just happened overnight, but throughout the course of the year, like our circle completely changed, from us going out and trying to get in with these people of significance and influence to the people of significance and influence trying to get in with us, and because they see the value in what we do and everything like that. And they know that I can keep a secret, what I'm saying? Like a side bitch. I'm not trying to like put all of our pictures and everything else on the gram and flex and everything else. For example, I was on a jet last week because I spoke in front of 3,500 people in Arizona. And when I got on the jet, there was 5 Dallas Cowboy players and a Kansas City Chief player on the jet. And so I text one of my buddies with the Cowboys, and I was like, hey, man, these cats are in front of me. You got their number. Hit one of them up. Tell them I'm back here. I'm going to give them some of my books and shoot the shit with them for a little bit. But tell them I'm cool. I'm not like a fanboy. Tell them I don't even watch football. The only reason I know who they are is because the dude next to me was telling me who they are, right? So, like, the dude turns around. They're players, active. One of them just won the Super Bowl. Turned around, and he goes, you must be the white boy so-and-so's talking about. I'm like, hell yeah, that's me, man. And I was like, I got this book, the G Code, I wanted to give you guys. He goes, yeah, he mentioned something about it. He goes, what you know about the G Code, man? I said, shit, dude, I did 3 years in prison, man. I'm slinging back in the day. I'm an OG in this game, man. Let me help you out. He's like, oh, you cool as hell, man. Come up here and sit with us, man. Let's drink and play cards, right? It just opened a door that if the guy next to me, he's freaking out going, oh, dude, it's such and such in front of us, man. Those guys are, you know, he won a Super Bowl with the Chiefs, blah, blah, blah. And he's trying to get a picture with him when we get off the plane and shit like that. Now these cats are coming to my office next week. You know what I mean? They want to come up here and figure out how to put all this stuff together and write their own book because they're like, the football program ain't going to work forever. And I told the main guy, they're all main guys, but I told the main guy, it was his bachelor party. When he got off the plane, I said, hey, man, I know you hit me up and come by the office. I don't have nothing to sell you. You know, like, you come by the office, I'll help you out. I'm not going to ask you for money. I don't have no secret real estate investment fund that I'm going to hit you up for. I don't have any of this bullshit to where I'm like, I don't need nothing from you. I didn't say this, but I probably make more money than he does anyway, so I don't need shit from him, right? And I'm definitely better with my fucking money than these people are because they're in their 20s making life-changing money. I'm in my 40s making life-changing money. I know what to do with it. I come from finance. I come from that background, man. I'm wearing $50 shoes, $40 jeans, and a $7 t-shirt right now. Like, I'm not a flashy person. I flipped 7 cars to get the ones that I got right now, right? I'm on my 50th fucking house to be able to buy the mansion that I live in. It's not like I just bought all this shit with fucking the money I made from the internet, you know? And I bought it through my investments and doing things the right way over a long period of time. That's a power move, right? That's like a recurring theme here. If y'all ain't figured that out yet, it's a recurring theme here. So, but so like now these guys are, it turns out we got like 4 or 5 friends. Now they be texting me like, oh, you know, such and such. We were mentioning, I read your book's awesome. I mentioned it to my buddy. He knows who you are too. It's like, oh yeah, man, we were just together last week. So I just like the law of attraction, whatever you want to call it. But the part of the law of attraction is the implementation of the things that attract people. And so, you know, I've just been able to really change things from that perspective. I mean, every day in my office, the guys that work for me and the ladies that work for me are like, holy shit, I can't believe that person is in here. You know, it's like, especially those that work for me for a while, we used to have like basically crackheads as clients, right? Like just dipshits. We would take anybody's money because we're trying to grow a business now. And now we have people that, like I said, are significant influence. Like just last Thursday, you know, we had a Super Bowl champion with the Saints sitting in here, you know, after we were done, he came up to me. This is exactly what he said. He said, man, I got a lot of players right now that I need to get together to hear you tell that same story, man, because that should have me crying. I'm a big-ass grown man. And I said, dude, let's get them together, man. I got nothing to sell them. But guess what? I got nothing to sell them because eventually they're going to hit me up and be like, hey, man, we want to put some money with you. Or, hey, man, we want to pay you to mentor this. Or will you pay me to mentor my kid or my cousin who just got out of jail or whatever the fuck it is, right? And so I'm willing to play this shit for the long game. I don't need to do the shit right this minute, you know? And I think that just puts me in a more powerful position. If they want to take a selfie with me, cool, I'll do that with them. You know what I mean? But I'm not going to harass them for that shit. If they want to make a video with me or they want to do a live with me, I'll do that shit and I'll share it on my profile and stuff like that. But I'm not going to, you know, hound them about it. It's like, oh man, we need to do this live video. Hey man, we need to get on a podcast together and stuff like that. I just let them ask things. But if you carry yourself the right way, they'll eventually ask what you wanted them to ask in the first place. You guys, life hack. When you meet somebody famous, and you want to take a picture with them, like get somebody else, go talk to the person and then get somebody else to approach you and be like, hey, you guys get together real quick. Let me get a picture, right? That's how you get a selfie from somebody, right? And then you ask them, hey man, do you mind if I post this on Instagram and tag you? If that's what you want to do. But the moment that you show up and you're like, hey man, let's take a picture, and then you tag them on Instagram and shit like that, you go from homeboy to fanboy real quick. And so the easiest way is like we do events and stuff like that. I have my camera guy come up and say, hey man, that you two guys get together real quick so I can take a picture. And then I'll ask, hey, you know, can you mind if I post this and tag you in it? Let them look at it, make sure it's cool with them and everything else. And that works a whole hell of a lot better. And I rarely do it, but that works a whole hell of a lot better. Like last week when I was in Arizona speaking, Robert Kiyosaki, I got my own dressing room. I don't know why I was already dressed, but whatever. Used to, we just call them the weed smoking room, but I don't smoke weed no more. But so I have my own weed smoking room where I don't smoke weed in. I'm already dressed, so I got nothing to do. So I walk out in the hallway to get some water. And Robert Kiyosaki, who's like older than Moses, I didn't realize this, man, because I see all the young images of him, right? But, you know, Robert comes out, man, he looks confused, like he don't know where to go or whatever. And I'm like, hey, what's going on, man? I'm Ryan Stewman, you know, nice to meet you. Hey, you got a handler. And which was weird to me because this dude been doing this shit for like 125 years. So what the fuck does he need somebody to tell him what to do? Like, he should already know. He's done it before. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Whatever, right? I'll never be that guy. I'll always be the guy to go bullshit with people after I get off stage. I was only backstage because I was about to go on stage. Other than that, I was out in the people, right? I'm the people's person, people's champ. But anyway, so I said, yeah, man, I'm about to open up for you. And his handler, interjected, well, he's about to go on stage right now. I said, oh shit, you opening for me. Boy, he was not happy at all, man. We went from like smiling to mad quick as a motherfucker. I was just being funny. You know what I mean? Dude, he was not happy. He looked at me like he wanted to fight, but he seen the size of these guns. He didn't want none, you know what I mean? But it was like, it's like that moment where I realized like, oh shit, like this is a big change. Like, this dude's opening up for me. And maybe he's not really opening. It was just, he was on the schedule before I am. Maybe he had some other shit to do, but shit, it made me feel like, like I'm Metallica and this dude's Limp Bizkit or something like that. It just made me feel good. You know what I mean? And didn't make him feel too good, but I wanted him to know that it made me feel good. There's a lot of jokes in that little thing. The people listen to this are going to be tagging Robert in an Instagram going, this dude's talking shit. I'm not talking shit, Robert. I'm just being funny. Relax, damn it. It was a joke back then. It's a fucking joke today. So
yeah, got to remind him of the time you teased him. But talking of the long game, I mean, I think that's such solid advice, and I don't hear many people talk about it very often. But speaking of the long game, you have a beautiful family, you got beautiful kids, and one thing that I've noticed a lot of entrepreneurial people struggle with is that work-life balance, as people call it. So how did you go about making sure that over the long period of time, from when you got started until where you are today, to make sure to pay enough attention to your wife, to your kids, to your family, to the life outside of the business?
Before we continue, I'd like to take a quick minute to talk about this episode's sponsor. Have you ever thought about starting your own podcast? When we were thinking about getting the Power Entrepreneurs podcast off the ground, we had a lot of questions, like how to record our episodes and how to get our show into all the different apps people enjoy listening on. The answer was very simple: Anchor. Anchor is a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing your podcast, and it's 100% free and ridiculously easy to use. So to get your podcast started, just visit anchor.fm/start. As always, if you're enjoying this episode of our podcast, be sure to leave a review on iTunes. Now back to the show.
So how did you go about making sure that over the long period of time, from when you got started until where you are today, to make sure to pay enough attention to your wife, to your kids, to your family, to the life outside of the business?
Well, one time I sat next to Tim Grover on an airplane, and this is the benefits of flying first class or private everywhere you go. You can't always do that in the beginning. I've done my fair share of miles behind the wing. So, shout out to those people that are there right now. So did Cardone. So did Ed Milet. So did Tony Robbins. We all started behind the wing. That's where you got to start, right? But now I'm fortunate enough to where if I don't fly private, I fly in first class. I'm like platinum executive with American Airlines, right? So I'm coming back from Ed Milet's house in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. And Tim Grover was one of the people that talked to us there. Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant's ex-trainer, right? And Tim's a very powerful guy. And one of the things that we're talking about, was work-life balance. And he says, balance is bullshit. He said, a scale is balanced at 0. Who the fuck wants to be a 0? I'm like, this is my man right here. What the fuck I'm talking about? I like this motherfucker, no wonder you train champions. Like, I love that attitude, right?
Yeah.
But so I've never been like a work-life balance person. And I'm going to give you a math equation to prove that it's impossible. You see, there's a hidden algorithm on this planet that I call the force of average. I got that trademark, but y'all can use it. And so the force of average, it does its best to distract you with bullshit. Okay. Like when you wake up first thing in the morning, a lot of people say, oh, I'm not a morning person. I ain't had my coffee yet. That's because they looked at social media and a hater's on your advertisement, or an employee's called in late, or somebody quit on you, or an unexpected bill, or whatever the fuck, right? That's just part of it, right? Like, it tries to attack us when we're weakest. We're weakest first thing in the morning, right? I've learned to attack that motherfucker back. I go hit the gym first thing in the morning. I do my meditation and reading first thing in the morning so that I get ahead of it, right? But that's a whole nother episode for a whole nother lesson. But so let's say that you work 8 hours a day, Okay. So like if y'all out there doing math and you're not driving a car, write down 8. Let's say that you need 8 hours of sleep a day, right? Because you're lazy. It only takes about 4 or 5. I don't give a fuck what the doctors say, but whatever. Okay. So that's 16 hours in a day. That only leaves you, right? That's not drive time. That's not time in the bathroom. That's not time eating food or anything, right? So that's 16 hours. You only got 24 hours in a day. So that leaves you with 8 hours left, right? So, and again, maybe an hour of that is drive time. So let's take that down to 7. Another hour of that per day, and this is being conservative as hell, is time in the bathroom and food. So that takes you down to 6, right? Then you got your errands you got to run. Let's say that's another 2 hours, right? Because we got shit we got to do every day. Okay. So now we're down to like 4 hours a day that we get to spend with our family. So how the hell are we going to balance an 8-hour work day and a 4-hour family time day? We're not going to. Okay. So here's what I do. Let's make this real simple. This is how I'm able to stay married to such a fine ass woman and raise beautiful little kids. Okay. They're really good looking because of her, not because of me. They'd be ugly as shit. They may not even be my kids. We might have adopted them. That might be a secret. Y'all don't know. Y'all got to find out one of these days. But anyway, they're definitely mine. So I adopted the middle one though. The best looking one, I adopted him. The other ones, they belong to me, poor bastards. But anyway, so the thing is, I'm just kidding, guys. When y'all hear this later on in life, y'all beautiful. I'm just being So the thing is, right, if you can't make fun of yourself, nobody can't make fun of nobody, right? So here's the thing, though. If I got 4 hours a day, and who knows what those 4 hours a day with my family is going to be. I might have 4 hours between the hours of noon and 4. Shit, my kids are still in school, you know? But here's what I do. Once a week, I go on date night with my wife. She could be mad as hell at me, and we still going on date night. Like, shut up, bitch, get in the car. We're going on a date, right? It's scheduled, okay? Because, like, we schedule our work day, but a lot of people don't schedule their love life. A lot of people don't schedule their kids' life, right? But if it's important enough to be on my calendar at work, it better be important enough to be on my calendar at home. For example, today, pull up my calendar here, okay? I was on time for this podcast that we're doing, right? Y'all had to go into my calendar to get it set up. I live and die by this shit. And it's 6 o'clock. My wife, it says, I got to be home with the boys because Amy has plans. My wife's name. She's got plans to go on with her girlfriends from 6 to 9 tonight. Okay. So if I got to be home with the kids, now we got a full-time housekeeper that can take care of the kids and everything else. We got someone that runs our entire home because I have a home office too. So we have a house manager. She can watch the kids, make dinner, all that shit. But she leaves at 7 every day. And she can stay late if we need her to or whatever. But now from 6 to 9, I'm going to show up. I'm going to send the housekeeper home and I'm going to hang out with my kids. And tonight it ain't going to be watching TV unless we watch a movie together. They ain't going to be on my phone. We're going to be kicking a soccer ball, playing video games, whatever they want to do, right? And but tomorrow night, my wife and I, we have a live stream that we do together, and then we're going on a date after that. And then every other night this week, I'm busy as shit. So one night a week, I'm with my kids, and I give my wife some free time. One night a week, I'm with my wife, and that's the minimum. Sometimes I can do it some more, but it's guaranteed. And so knowing that that's guaranteed, I got to make the quality of the time count, not the quantity of the time. I don't have to go home for 4 hours every day and be like, this is how I balance my life out, right? I may not come home on Wednesday night till fucking 10 o'clock at night. Maybe not till midnight, depending on how my day goes, right? But Monday and Tuesday, I got a date with my wife and I got a date with my kids. And so that's how I make the work-life balance. Like even on the weekends, man, I work a lot of times, you know, and I got shit to do, but I wake up at 5 o'clock on the weekends, just like during the week, so that my family who, I won't call them lazy, but they sleep in. My family who sleeps in, if I wake up at 5 and they sleep till 9, guess what? I got 4 hours ahead to do shit by myself while nobody missed me. You know what I mean? Nobody's like, well, dad slept in till 9 too and then worked till noon. It's like, no, I'm up at 5. I go do what the hell I got to do. By the time they're up, I'm like, hey, good morning, guys. Got all the shit knocked out. We can go do whatever. Because like on Saturdays, I typically go race four-wheelers with my kids. You know, I got 3 boys. They like to ride four-wheelers and shit. I like to ride four-wheelers. I'm a kid too. And so, you know, we go ride four-wheelers and stuff. I still got a job to do on Saturday. Saturday's a busy day for us. So what I do is I wake up early, get the shit knocked out, go ride till, you know, let's say from 10 o'clock in the morning till 2 or 3 in the afternoon, come home, shower, let them go do their thing because they don't always want to hang with me either. They got shit they're doing too, playing football, playing soccer, hanging out, watching, you know, movies, playing video games, all that stuff, brother stuff. So I just make sure that it ain't a work-life balance. It's work and life and making everything count. Every minute that I get with them and every minute that I get on the job and every minute that I get at home count when it counts, you know?
Well said. Yeah, and I remember, I heard Tim Grover actually at the 10X Growth Con in Vegas a couple of years ago, and I remember him yelling that same thing out back then. So funny how that kind of inspired you as well. But before we kind of reach the end of this podcast, can you tell us a little bit about the different things you have going on? I know you have phone sites, you have a couple different training programs. You're an investor. Tell the people what you have going on and how they could get involved.
Well, you know, the main thing that I'm promoting right now, and like me, like I said, I work hard. So I got about 60 things, you know, so we could do a whole other hour on all the shit I got going on, but that wouldn't be productive for the people. Wouldn't really be a power move. So there's two things that go together that I just like to give your audience. I don't got nothing to sell you. I'm not going to slide in your DMs. I'm not going to, send you a spam email. All the shit that I said, I live by it, right? But you can go to Amazon and you can grab my G-Code book. It's called G-Code. Just type in G-Code and Amazon will pull it up. That's how it works over there in case you ain't never been. And $6, right? It's the cheapest Amazon would let me sell it. I make 34 cents a copy. So obviously I'm not getting fucking rich off of this book. Although I have sold a whole bunch of them and I got a big ass check from Amazon, when I was like, damn, I had to do the math. I'm like, shit, the first month we sold 7,800 freaking copies of this. Like no ads, no nothing. This is all right. The influencers are sharing it because they're getting it, Word is Kevin Hart's reading it right now. You know what I mean? Like this is like, it's like cool shit that's happening for me. But I wrote this book, it's a power move, right? And this book, if you make it through chapter 3 and you ain't crying, you need to read chapter 3 again. And I don't mean crying like a little bitch. I mean crying like it's going to make you realize you're really falling short of who you're supposed to be. See, the G code is the code to being great on earth. A lot of people, you ask them how you doing. How you doing? Good. How's things going? Fine. Who the fuck wants to be good and fine? I want to be great, highly favored, and blessed. You know what I'm saying? I want to be at the top of my game. There's a reason I talk with all this energy. It's not some fake stage persona for podcasts. It's who I am, man, because I feel great. I'm in the gym. I broke my neck in September, guys, in 2 places. They told me I'd never walk again. I did a set of 10 at 235 on deadlifts. I did 5 sets of 10 at 235 on deadlifts today. I did snatches at 155 today. Like I'm not even supposed to be fucking walking right now, but I decided that wasn't good enough for me. I decided that I was going to continue on this path to greatness. A lot of people, that would have been a career and life altering thing for me. All that did was just set me back a little bit because I was picking up 425 before this happened. You know what I mean? So I just got a little climb to get back to it. I put 275 pounds last week on my back and squatted it 5 times, on my neck and squatted 5 times. This shit was just broken in September. I had to lay in bed for 3 months because they didn't want me to put pressure on it. But I refuse to let that define me because I've chosen to be great in life. And I don't say that from, look at me, I'm great, got an ego. I don't say it like that. I'm just saying I chose that good enough wasn't good enough for me. And so a lot of people, they get to making $100,000, $200,000 a year, and they're like, this is good money. Man, fuck good money. I want to make great money. You know what I mean? And it's not even about money. In my business, the more money I make, that means the more lives I've changed. And so for me, making great money means I've had a great amount of impact on people's lives. And so the G code is the code to greatness. There's basically 4 areas that it breaks down to. It will tell you how to grade the people around you, how to grade your physical regimen, how to grade your mindset. And when I talk about grade, I'm like good, better, worse, best, right? Like you'll know where you stand in life. And I wrote the book that's so simple. It's 208 pages. And I wrote it so simple because I wanted to punch people in the face with this decision. Am I willing to do this stuff or am I willing to settle for good? And both of them are okay answers, but at least you know where the fuck you stand with yourself, And that's why so many people are reading it, man. It's getting shared hundreds of times, like organically on social media, because people read it. They get to chapter 3 or 4, and they're like, this fucking changed my life. Doesn't matter if they're athletes, influencers, or just the average person just getting started in life. I got a 12-year-old kid that came up to my office the other day. He begged his mom to bring him up here. And he's like, I've been listening to your podcast, and I read your G-Code book, and I just want you to sign it. A 12-year-old kid. I'm like, hell yeah, little dog. Come on in here. Your mama know you listen to my podcast. I cuss a lot, right? So, but his mom's like, you know what? We just overlooked that part because the message is there for him, So I would encourage you to get that book. I have a software that goes along with this. It's like, it's basically gamifies personal development, and the software's free. I'm not going to upsell you. It's not free plus shipping. The book ain't free plus shipping and an upsell or 2 or 3. It ain't no Russell Brunson, fool you once, fool you twice bullshit. It's like, it's real. Like, it's really free, right? Free is free with me. And you can get the software at gcode.phonesites.com and sign up for it. And you just walk through, you can get up to 4 points a day. Within 25 days, you should have 100 points if you're trying to be great. And so we call it the 0 to 100 challenge. And in 21 days, you create a habit. 25 days, you've furthered that habit. In 60 days, by the time you get to about 220 points, you have created an unbreakable habit. And if you'll stick to the G code for 6 months, you'll look back and your life will change. You stick to the G code for a year, you'll look back, you won't believe you used to live life the way that you used to. You'll be in better shape. You'll look better. You'll be thinner. We came back, we took a Gulfstream 450 to Cabo, Mexico a couple weeks ago, right? And the end of February. And took about 16 important people, Super Bowl champions, Mr. Universe, like badass people. We rent this jet. We rent a 24,000 square foot mansion. You know, we're doing great shit over here. And we get back, and my VP in my company, I got felonies. And so usually there's like when I fly private to other countries, there's usually a whole bunch of acronyms waiting for me, like ATF, FBI, those kind of guys. They don't ever believe that I make the money I make, live the life I do. I always got to explain it to them. But anyway, they pull out everybody's ID, and my vice president has lost like 100 pounds because he lived in the G code for about 650 days now. And if he's white dude, but if he'd have been Mexican, they would have kept him, right? They'd have been like, y'all just came from Mexico, clearly with some other dude's ID, right? We had to all vouch for him and show him his Facebook profile and all this shit, right? And because he looks and acts like a completely different person, you know what I mean? And that was a big aha moment for me. I'm like, oh shit, man, this stuff works. And not just for our clients, but like for the people that are close to me in my life, you know, like my people that work for me, they have to live by this shit. How are we going to tell other people to do something we're not doing, you know? So you get on the G code, follow the process, read the book. It'll literally change your life, and it'll cost you $6. You know, and that's Amazon's money. You can blame Jeff Bezos for that. If I give it away for free, I would.
Hallelujah.
Awesome. So before we wrap up, we always ask, in your definition, what's the difference between the entrepreneur and the power entrepreneur?
I would say power moves, you know. The average entrepreneur is just trying to settle for good, and they're doing force moves. And a power entrepreneur is trying to be great, so they're making power moves. You know, thank God we actually explained all that in the beginning of this. Would be a really long podcast, but I think that's pretty simple answer, especially with the context that we've talked about.
Awesome. So Ryan, how can the audience reach out if they have any questions or they want to sign up?
So the best thing that you can find me everywhere. I got a blue check, Instagram, Facebook, just type in Ryan Stewman. If it ain't got a blue check next to it, it ain't me. Fuck those people. You know, they're always somebody trying to pretend there's somebody. If somebody ever, when my name slides in your DMs and asks you for money or ask you for some shit, it ain't me, man. It's scammers. So every profile I got's got a blue check next to it. So just go Ryan Stewman, look up the ones with the blue check, follow me on Facebook, Instagram. Really, I'm only active on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube. And so the other places they're just not the best investment of my time, but I'm on Facebook and Instagram the most. So just find me there.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Ryan, for joining us on the podcast.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, you powerhouse. You made it to the end of the episode. Not everyone can do that. We really appreciate you listening to our show every week. If you enjoyed this episode, let us know. You can find us on social media by looking for The Power Entrepreneur. We're on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, even Twitter. Look for The Power Entrepreneur or go to our website, thepowerentrepreneur.com. If you really, really love the podcast, I'd highly appreciate it if you went on iTunes right now and left us a review. It helps us way more than you know. Go out there and make it a powerful life.